About a month ago, I went over cards that got people banned in Wizard101, and surprisingly that was just the tip of the exploit iceberg. So, like the Titanic, we're gonna go on a cruise, all the while smashing through all these icebergs until we reach our destination. The final destination. The bottom of the ocean. Or rather, I mean getting to the bottom of these exploits. As the captain of this cruise ship, I say sit back, relax, as we venture forward, discovering and unraveling all the unknowns Wizard101 has to offer. It was 2:37 AM. The only thing that illuminated my room was an old TV screen I used for my computer monitor. The crickets were dead. The 3 AM YouTubers were getting ready to jingle their keys and fidget their fucking spinners. This was when I decided to look on Discord for messages. There I saw a contact from a previous video. Ben offered me a few sources of other exploits. Like the curious insomniac that I am, I went to sleep a few hours later, while listening to VTuber ASMR. In my sleep, I thought about player housing, and what happened a few weeks back, where players were prevented from going to their homes. I didn't know what caused the housing shutdown, but I wanted to get to the bottom of it, and hopefully explore more on the subjects related to it. I woke up fixated on a specific exploit known as the housing theft exploit. Before I contacted Ben, I decided to see what I could dig up on Google. First, I searched up housing exploit and found a thread on players exploiting housing tours. Sadly, it wasn't what I was looking for, since it's just kids trying to earn their parents' approval by climbing a virtual leaderboard using virtual mansions. Remember kids, the real way to get your parents' attention is by talking to them about your feelings. Anyway, the other results were all these rug salesmen trying to sell you on how good rugs are, so that was a dead end. I wanted to get down to the meat of the investigation. The big hunk of meat that's moist and tender, fresh off the bone. So I decided to search up housing theft exploit. Under the Wizard101 Season 6 anime, I found stealing items from a house glitch. I wondered, what the f***? I've never seen this before. There's a Season 6 anime of Wizard101? I decided to click the link, and it led me to a Wizard101 Central thread dated back to 2010. As you can see, most of these people don't even play anymore, as indicated by their small blood ball next to their name. I read on through the thread, and from what I gathered, people who ported to your home could potentially steal your items. Luckily, there were a couple other threads that backed up these statements. There were numerous reports of people losing items such as furniture and pets due to other players taking them. Next, I wanted to see how the glitch was performed, so I looked at the oldest living media fossil, MySpace. I mean YouTube. Since the Wizard101 Central threads dated back to 2010, I searched for videos during that specific time period. I spent my Saturday listening to ear-piercing videos, so you didn't have to. To my dismay, there were only more rug salesmen. I searched every nook and cranny of Wizard101 websites and could not find any videos on the glitch. Seems like rugs were in season that year. I did, however, find a blog called Wizard101 Spiral Chips and Double Dips, where friendships die. Sadly, like most blogs, these people were never seen again, long forgotten by the passage of time. I decided to revisit the threads on Wizard101 Central to see if I missed anything. The only hint I had was that it could have involved two people. So as mentioned, about a few weeks back, players were prevented from going into their homes due to a glitch. It was later resolved near the end of the day, but what remained unknown was the reason for the housing shutdown. Looking at the Wizard101 forums and posts made from the community manager gave very vague details on what happened, labeling it as an infestation. Now I don't know what the problem was, however I thought it'd be relevant to what we were talking about. Anyway, after I did a little digging and relaxing, I decided to contact Ben and see what he had to say on the matter. In this section of the video, I'll only mention the most interesting questions and answers of the bunch we had during our conversation. The first question I asked Ben was, do you recall anything about the housing theft exploit? To paraphrase, it was one of the most fun exploits I've ever participated in. Basically, how it worked was extremely simple. When you go to your own house, you always have that housing icon at the bottom right of your screen. However, when you go to another person's house, it shouldn't show up because it isn't yours. That being said, occasionally this glitch would occur where the icon would show up and you could take almost anything out of a person's house, including vaults, music players, and mannequins. Basically, if you can put something in it, it could be stolen. Now to clarify, for those who don't know, players use gear vaults to store gear for later use in place of their banks. It's essentially extra storage, except you can place it almost anywhere in your home. Mannequins are similar, except it's normally for clothing display purposes. Next, I asked, did this mean you could transfer over non-tradable items to your other characters? And he replied, quote, "Indeed, some of my friends did just that." End quote. Did anyone get caught by doing this? Well, sort of. The person who first discovered it did not think things through. They began going into castle tours and terrorizing the people in several different houses. They didn't steal many items, just messed around with castle magic and housing chat. However, due to this blatant disregard for the respect of other players, KingsIsle shut down castle tours for an entire week. It was because of this event that I told how to replicate this exploit. We stole items from others as well as traded items between ourselves. What I actually found interesting was that this exploit occurred again, except this time it's with gear and seed vaults. Next I asked him, was it patched? Ben said housing tours was taken down for 2 weeks, and that, quote, "Nobody got banned except the original guy that found it. We were quick, quiet, and did not gloat about it. This guy did, which is probably why he was easily banned." End quote. On the topic of the housing shutdown that occurred a couple weeks ago, Ben explained that there were no strange or odd occurrences. To quote, "It may have been an exploit that they wanted to cut off the potential for, but who knows honestly." The players who had their items stolen, were they ever compensated by KingsIsle? To paraphrase, I'm not sure if KI was even aware because we would have been banned. Lastly, Ben added, there is another exploit we managed to layer on top of this one so that we could trade mounts to each other. We made our game clients think that a mount was a hat, and it would allow us to put it into a gear vault. So basically, what they did was they modded a mount to be a hat, and once a player took out the hat, they unmodded it, and it became a mount again. This reminded me of a glitch back in 2014. I dubbed it as flying fish due to players being able to cast a lure over any body of land. You couldn't fish anything out except for the air and your time. It was a simple glitch, one that just happened automatically. A player would get a pop-up fishing icon out of complete random, and they could cast a fishing lure anywhere they wanted. Like fishing, placing furniture had a similar icon which functioned basically the same. One could assume this is what happened back in 2010. Now, I wish there was more proof to these housing theft exploits because it seems very interesting. It's just kind of like a virus evolving in a way that benefits and harms people. We went from having furniture stolen to having our gear and plant seeds stolen. I think the next top contender is having our houses stolen. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you're new to the channel, subscribing is just a click away. Also, if you want to see me do let's plays or streams of other games, I have a second channel called Froggys too. So with that, take care and see you guys.